Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Rabbi yassir wa la tu'assir wa tammim bil khair. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Welcome to the fifth session of the Quranic Arabic study group. Today, inshallah, we will do a quick revision of Surah Al-Masad, chapter 111, that was covered last week, and then talk about Surah An-Nasr, chapter 110 of the Quran today. So, let me just read through the surah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم تبت يدا أبي لهب وتب. Perish the hands of Abu Lahab and perish he. ما أغنى عنه ماله وما كسب. Not will avail him his wealth and what he earned. سيصلى نارا ذات لهب وامرأته حمالة الحطب. He will be burned in a fire blazing flames, and his wife the carrier of firewood. في جيدها حبل من مسد. In her neck will be a rope of palm fiber. Sadaqallah al-Azim. And then we looked at many of the words that occurred in the surah. The new words were tabba, and then yada for hands, and then Abu, which was for father, Lahab, which was blazing flames, and Ghani or Aghna, which was for enriches, and Malahu, his wealth. Kasab was earned, he earned, kasaba as a verb. And Swad, Lam, Ya as Yasla, he will be burned. And I also mentioned that this is different from the word Swad, Lam, Waw, which is for Salat. And Nur was basically fire, Nar. And Nur, of course, is a different version of the same name, which has a different meaning. Mar'a, which is used as Imra'a as well, and that implies his wife. Hamala, which is used as an active participle in this case. Hammala, which means the carrier. And Hatab, which was firewood. And Jeed was neck. Fi Jeediha, her neck. Habl was a rope. Fi Jeediha hablum min masad. And masad was palm fiber. So these were some of the words that we covered last week. Now let us begin the surah for this week. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim.
Just a quick revision for Noor now.
Ji. So we looked at Noor, and Noor has two nouns. If you look at it, there is Nar as well as Noor. So even though the root word is the same, Noon, Waw, Ra, but it doesn't imply that it can only have one noun associated with it. So it actually has two nouns. Nar means fire, and Noor means light.
Right. Okay.
Okay, so here it is being used as Nar, Sayasla Naran Zat al-Lahab. But of course, in different locations in the Quran, I'm sure it is used as Noor as well as Munir. So it's been used 145 times as Nar, 43 times as Noor, and 6 times also as an active participle Munir, which is perhaps the source of light. Is that clear? Should we move on?
Yeah.
So, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إذا جاء نصر الله والفتح ورأيت الناس يدخلون في دين الله أفواجا فسبح بحمد ربك واستغفره إنه كان توابا. صدق الله العظيم. إذا جاء نصر الله والفتح, when the help comes of Allah and the victory. وَرَأَيْتَ النَّاسَ يَدْخُلُونَ فِي دِينِ اللَّهِ أَفْوَاجًا, and you see the people entering into the religion of Allah in multitudes. فَسَبِّحْ بِحَمْدِ رَبِّكَ وَاسْتَغْفِرْهُ, then glorify with the praises of your Lord and ask His forgiveness. إِنَّهُ كَانَ تَوَّابًا, indeed He is oft returning. So that was the word-by-word meaning. Now let's take a look at the individual words. So Iza is of course when, and if you look at the word Ja'a, so Ja'a is one of the very common and very common nouns that is used in the Quran and also in the Arabic language. It occurs 278 times. The root is Jim, Ya, and Hamza. Jim, Ya, and Hamza. And it only means, it's only used as a verb form one. So it has consistent, it's simple in meaning. So here it is used as Iza Ja'a Nasrullahi wal Fath. Now, if you look at the meaning of Ja'a, it is used as comes. Now, if you look at the word Ja'a, and you realize that this is actually a Mazi word. So this is it is supposed to mean not comes but came. In other words, it's supposed to be past tense. But I was also a little confused as to why when it says Iza Ja'a, the translation is comes rather than came. So I was asking Ahmad as well on this, and he explained to me that every time the word Iza comes before Ja'a or before any verb, then it immediately translates into future tense. So when Iza comes, the meaning becomes future. Okay, and that sort of makes sense as well because Iza is when. So when you're saying when something happens, it will obviously imply that we're talking about not the past, not the present, but the future. Okay. So Iza Ja'a Nasrullahi wal Fathu would translate into when the help of Allah comes. Okay, not when the help of Allah came, but when the help of Allah comes. You will also
is also written with Sa, no?
Yes, so you also have Sa being used and something after that. That also means that normally means immediate future. Okay, so this would normally mean immediate future. And this is not really saying is it immediate or long term, but it's simply saying when the help of Allah comes, whenever that happens. So so it's simply future as opposed to immediate future. Right?
Okay.
So here you can see that it is also used in different forms. So for example, and now I'd also like to mention, I came across a new, very interesting website, which is called Wiktionary. And let me just open this site and just take a quick look at it. So this Wiktionary actually, a lot of times, as I said, we have to refer to the Hanswar dictionary, which is a bit hard to use. And also it doesn't tell you exactly all the conjugations of every verb. Now, in this Wiktionary site, they have actually got all the details of every possible verb, which I thought was really exciting. So for example, if you look at ja'a, which is a little difficult verb because it has several haruf illat, as we call them. It has hamza, and so if you look at it, has got a ya in it, or also a hamza. So that makes it difficult to figure out what is the mazi and what are the different conjugations of it. So if you look on this dictionary, you will see that first of all, it also gives you a pronunciation. So if you click on this, it will pronounce it in Arabic, and then it will tell you the meaning to come and different aspects of it. Now, if you want to look at the conjugation and you click on this, it will show you all the different conjugations which you may remember we covered. So it talks about the verbal nouns, active participle, passive participle, but let me just focus in right now on the mazi and the mudare, which I've also copied over here. So, so if you see, ja'a is the basic mazi form. Okay, this is mazi, and mudare is, and this is the third person. So normally when you look at a verb, you look at the third person, singular, and mazi. So this is the normal form. And then for the mudare, you need to know what form is the mudare. So this is, in this particular case, is the mudare, yaji'u, okay, which wasn't quite obvious. These are the two things that you have to learn about every verb to start with. So once you know ja'a, yaji'u, then you can form the different forms. For example, ji'ta would mean, ja'a would mean he came, and ji'ta would mean you came, and ji'tu would mean I came, and this is all past tense, and so on. And yaji'u would mean I am coming. Sorry, he is coming, or he will come in the future. The ji'u would mean you will come, or you are coming, and a ji'u would mean that I will come, or I am coming. So I thought this was very useful to be able to figure out the different forms. So let's just go back. So if you look at the different ways in which the word ja'a, the root letters ja, ya, hamza are occurring in the Quran, here it is iza ja'a nasrullahi wal fathu. Then in Surah Fajr, Surah 89, you see it occurring as waja'a rabbuka wal malaku saffan saffa waji'a yawma izin bi jahannama yawma izin yatazakkaru al-insan wa anna lahu zikra. So here it is occurring as, again, comes, because in the previous ayat, there's a word iza, I think, that comes before it. This
particular word.
Yes, sorry.
This particular word, the root word are not in ja, ja, ya, hamza.
Yes.
Is the root word.
Yes.
But if you see the past tense, it is ja, hamza.
Yes. So this is the past tense. And va is just
what about ya?
Okay, so this form here.
Yeah, the root word, the middle word in the.
Oh, okay. So you see, so when you talk about words which are called irregular verbs, so you have irregular verbs, and these are verbs which, if you recall, we studied, which have either ya or hamza or a vowel. Okay, these are the vowels, and if any one of these three letters comes in the verb, then it becomes an irregular verb. Okay.
Ooh.
Now, if it is
ya and hamza.
Yes, waw, ya, and hamza. So if any one of these three letters comes in, it becomes an irregular verb. And if it is irregular, then the form changes. It's not very easy to predict how the word will change. And there are lots of rules that we covered, but you know, with experience, you'll come to see the patterns in them. So here it is ja'a is the basic form. But for example, if I go down, so ja'at, sorry, if you notice, ja'a becomes ji'ta. So if I say he came, it is ja'a. But normally, for example, if you say zahaba, zahaba, so if you say this is he went, if you say you went, you would say zahabta, zahabta, all right? So it would be fairly simple. You would make this sukoon or jazm, and then you would add a ta and a fatah after that. But here you see ja doesn't become ja ta. It, under normal circumstances, it would have become ja ta, right? If you apply the same process over here.
Okay.
But instead of being ja ta, it has become jita. So you see there is a kasra underneath it. It becomes jita. Jim, kasra, hamza has a jazm on it, and a ta with a fatah on it. So it becomes, so when you have irregular verbs, then their form is not easily predictable unless you have some experience. So, so these are a little bit of the complications that come in. But after you see some of these forms, you'll realize that a lot of the verbs which occur as ja'a will have the same form ji'ta, and you'll be able to predict that, okay, so ja'a will become ji'ta and ji'tu and so on. But it comes with a little bit more experience. Okay, so I hope, did I answer your question that you had?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is an irregular verb. That's
yeah. So it's basically an irregular verb, and it's hard to exactly predict the exact form in all cases. So here you have iza ja'a nasrullahi wal fath, and waji is now, is this mazi or mudari? So if you look at ji'a, so if you look over here,
it's imperfect.
So and maybe we'll cover this in more detail when we come to it. So when we get to Surah 89, maybe we'll cover it in more detail. But it's enough detail for right now, I think. Maybe a little bit I can mention over here. For example, ja'uka. Sorry. Somehow this has changed the format. Okay, so for example, iza ja'uka. So here you might recognize that ja basically means he came, and ja'uka would mean they came. Okay, so ja'a means he came, and ja'u would mean they came. Okay, and you can see that over here. So ja'a means he came, and if you look at the plural, third person plural, so it would be ja'u. Okay.
Why he writes ja'u?
Okay, so I guess there are two ways of writing this. They're basically the same thing. You are saying ja'u, and here they're adding an extra wow over here. I'm not sure why they have two different forms, but I'm familiar with this form, ja'u.
Okay.
Yeah, this may be an alternate mechanism. So when you say ja'u, it means they came, and if you add a ka after it, it means what? It means they came to you.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so the ka is now saying to you. So, and for example, ji'tu would mean I came. Okay. And ji'tukum, this would mean I came to you all. To you all. So you can see how you can form, multiple phrases with the same word. Okay, so let's just go back. So Iza ja'a nasrullahi wal fath, when comes the help. So Nasr, let's take a look at the word Nasr. So Nasr is, I think it's quite commonly known. It occurs 158 times in the Quran. And the root words are Nun, Sod, Ra. This is not an irregular verb or noun. It simply has a Nun, Sod, Ra. There's no Harufe Illat in it. And here, Iza Ja An-Nasr, here it's being used as a noun. Okay. But it could also mean, it could also be used as a verb. For example, yeah, so if you look at the verb form, it's Nasara. Nasara over here. And Nasara, and if you look it up further in the dictionary, you'll see that its Mazi is Yan Suru. Sorry, its Mudari is Yan Suru. So this is the Mazi, and this is the Mudari. Nasara Yansuru. So here, but here it is being used not, if you notice that it is not Nasara, but it is Nasr. So Nasr is the noun form. Iza ja'a nasrullahi wal fathu, when the help. So this is basically help of Allah comes. And you see it used also as a verb, for example, to help. So here it is used as in Surah 67, Amman hazal ladhi huwa jundul lakum yansurukum min duni rahman. So yansurukum is used here as a verb. Nasara yansurukum, to help you. Okay, so kum is for you all. And here it's being used as a Mudari form.
Here in Nasaru, the help means will be always with the al, no?
Okay, so if you're talking about if this is mudaf ilayh combination, then as we saw, if you remember, this whole thing will mean the help of Allah. So this would be
help of Allah.
The help of Allah, right? But here it's basically help of Allah. Okay, so it could have An-Nasrullah, but here it is simply Nasrullah. So I guess you could translate it as Iza ja Nasrullahi wal Fathu, when the help of Allah comes. Okay, so I hope that's clear.
Yeah.
Right, so Iza ja Nasrullahi, and here notice that it is Mudaf ilayh, so it is help of Allah. It's in jar form. Wal Fath, and the victory. So if you look at the word Fatah here, it is also quite common in the Quran, 38 times. The root is Fa, Ta, and Ha. Fa, Ta, and Ha. And here it's being used as a noun. It also has a very common verb form, which is Fataha, Fataha. But here it's being used as a noun, which is here. Fatah.
Just write the present tense also of this. Fataha.
So fataha yaftahu. 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 So this would be the mazi and this would be the mudari. Okay, fataha yaftahu. So notice that this has a zabar, as you might say, on top of the ta. Fatah, and the noun is fath. So you see that there is no harakat on the ta letter. So you might say it's fathun is the noun form. So it's different from the verbs, both madi and muzare. And here it is, and of course, here it is al, so al always implies that that this is a noun. So Iza ja'a nasrullahi wal fath, and the victory. So Iza ja'a nasrullahi wal fath, when comes the help of Allah and the victory. وَرَأَيْتَ النَّاسَ يَدْخُلُونَ فِي دِينِ اللَّهِ أَفْوَاجًا. So let's take a look at this ra'aita, which is a verb. And the root letters are ra, hamza, and ya. So this is again an irregular verb, sort of similar to ja'a. Okay, so you remember ja'a, and so now you have ra'a. So very similar in construct. And here it's being used as a verb, form 1. So it's actually used mostly as a form 1 verb 271 times, but also less often it's used as in other forms, for example, ara and yura, which is verb 3 and verb 4 forms. And then once as a noun as well. But here it's simply being used as the most common verbal form, verb 1. So this is وَرَأَيْتَ النَّاسَ يَدْخُلُونَ فِي دِينِ اللَّهِ أَفْوَاجًا. وَرَأَيْتَ would, so if you look at ra'a and you look up the different forms, if you want to say he saw, it would be ra'a, be he saw. And if you say you saw, so it would be ra'aita. So if we try to see, let's see if I have it on the dictionary. I think I did look it up over here. So this is ja'a. And let me see if I have ra'a here. Yeah, here's ra'a. So now if you look at the third person, the normal form, it is ra'aita. Ra'a, sorry. And then you have ra'aita over here, which is the second person. So instead of, as in the previous case, it was ja'a became ji'ta, here ra'a became ra'aita. Okay, so the form is changed. And ra'aita would mean the second person, you saw. And ra'aitu would mean I saw. Okay. And the mudare for ra'a would be yara. Here. Yara. I hope my mouse is visible, right? Yeah, so you can see that pointed.
Yeah.
So ra'a, yara are the two mazi and the mudare. And ra'aita, ra'aitu would be you saw and he saw, sorry, I saw. And yara would become tara, and so on. So if we come back over here, it is vara'aita. So this is of the form ra'aita. So basically saying and when you saw, and when you see. And again, this is وَرَأَيْتَ النَّاسَ يَدْخُلُونَ فِي دِينِ اللَّهِ أَفْوَاجًا, and when you saw or you see the people entering into the deen of Allah in multitudes. And one more example over here, for example, you see Alam, it is also occurs in Surah Ma'un over here, Amendment 5, Alam tara kayfa fa'ala rabbuka bi ashabil fil. So here it is used as simply tara. So so this is a different form, which you can look up as well in the dictionary. And here there is yura'un, which is showing off. So this is a different form. It's a verb 3 form, which means to show off. Yura'una nasa la yazkuruna Allah illa qalila. So going back, وَرَأَيْتَ النَّاسَ يَدْخُلُونَ. So nas, let's take a look at the word nas. This is from the root words nun, waw, sin. Nun, waw, sin. And this is simply used 241 times in the Quran as the noun form nas. No other forms are being used. So it's fairly straightforward. We've already seen it occur several times already in the previous surahs. Mina jinnati wan nas, وَرَأَيْتَ النَّاسَ يَدْخُلُونَ. So this is fairly straightforward. The people, yadkhuluna. So this is another new verb. Let's take a look at this verb. And the root words, the root letters are dal, ha, and lam. Dal, ha, and lam, dakhala. So actually, it's more commonly used, it's quite commonly used as a verb form. So 76 times as the root dakhala, dakhala, and the mudari would be yadkhulu, yadkhulu. Okay, so it has a kasra over here, dakhala yadkhulu. And so here you see it being used as a mudari. وَرَأَيْتَ النَّاسَ يَدْخُلُونَ فِي دِينِ اللَّهِ أَفْوَاجًا. Entering, which is the present tense. So as you remember, mudari can be either present tense or future tense. So here it's being used as a present tense. And when you see the people entering into the deen of Allah in multitudes, yadkhuluna. And if you might recall, yadkhulu would be for a singular and yadkhuluna would be for plural. So you would add waw and nun, yadkhuluna. So this is, you see multitudes of people entering. And here also in Surah 89, Surah Fajr, Vadkhuli Jannati. So you see it being used twice in Surah Fajr as well. Vadkhuli fi ibadi, Vadkhuli Jannati. So here it is being used as and here it's actually a command, it's an imperative, Fadkhuli. But we'll cover this later on when we get to Surah Fajr, inshallah. Rabbighfir li wa liwalidayya wa liman dakhala baytiya mu'minan. So here in Surah 71, it is used as dakhala, as a simple dakhala form in the mazi form. Rabbighfir li wa liwalidayya, and forgive for me, my parents. Waliman dakhala baytiya mu'minan, and whosoever enters my house. If I remember, if I'm doing the translation correctly. So this is a past tense, dakhala. So going back, وَرَأَيْتَ النَّاسَ يَدْخُلُونَ فِي دِينِ اللَّهِ أَفْوَاجًا. So fi is in, and or into. Deen. So let's take a look at deen. And deen is, the root letters are dal, ya, and nun. Dal, ya, and nun. And it occurs 101 times. And here it's been used as a noun. So these are the different types of nouns that it is being used as, and it's also being used as a verb. So here it simply means the religion or religion. Okay. وَرَأَيْتَ النَّاسَ يَدْخُلُونَ فِي دِينِ اللَّهِ أَفْوَاجًا, in Allah's deen.
This also is an irregular verb.
Yes, it's an irregular noun here, you might say, because it has a ya in it. So yes, and you might recognize that it has its at the end you see a kasra. So it's why is there a kasra? Why is it in jar form? It's because of the fi occurring before it. Okay, so if you might remember, some words cause the noun after it to become to be in jar form.
Yeah.
Fi is one of those words. Fi dinillahi. So both dinillahi, and this is occurring because of, not because of fi, but because this is a muzaf alayh. Fi dinillahi afwaja, and this is multitude. So let's take a look at the word afwaja. So this is the root words. Root letters are fa, waw, and jim. Fa, waw, and jim. Okay, again a waw appearing over here. And this is used 5 times only in the Quran, all in the noun form, fawj. So it simply means multitude. So وَرَأَيْتَ النَّاسَ يَدْخُلُونَ فِي دِينِ اللَّهِ أَفْوَاجًا, in multitudes. Okay, so afwaj is the plural of fawj. Okay, so afwaj is being the plural of fawj. So here it's being used as a singular, but here it's being used in multitudes, in plural. So going back over here, fi dinillahi afwaja, fasabbih bihamdi rabbika wastaghfirhu. So fasabbih is a verb over here. Let's take a look at the verb sabbih. So here the root letters are sin, ba, and ha. Sin, ba, and ha. And it's used 92 times in the Quran. It's used as a verb in the basic form. And yasbahu. So yasbahu. Yasbahu. Now yasbahu is a mudare form, as we can see. And it's so here it's also being used not in form 1. For example, if you look at the form 1 usage, it is used here in Surah number 36. So they are floating, and the meaning is quite different. So you see, as a form 1 verb, it means float. Yasbahun. But as a form 2, where you have sabbaha. So remember, in form 2, the ayn kalma becomes tashdid. So it becomes sabbaha yasbahu. So here you have tashdid over here.
Past tense will be sabbaha.
Yes, so the past tense should be, in this case, if you look over here, it is sabbah. But this is not, this is, as I believe, it is an imperative. Sabbih isma rabbikal a'la, so praise, glorify. So this is a command. Okay. So here it's being used in different forms. And for sabbah, here for sabbih, this is also again a command. So it's an imperative, then glorify. Okay, both of these, in fact, all of these are commands over here. وَمِنَ اللَّيْلِ فَاسْجُدْ لَهُ وَسَبِّحْهُ لَيْلًا طَوِيلًا. Again, a command. Okay. To look at all the different forms, we'll probably have to look at the dictionary and to get a better understanding of the different forms. But you can see that here it's being used as a command. And verb here, verb 2, fasabbih, tasbih. This is the one that is being used here, I believe. Okay, so fasabbih bihamdi rabbika wastaghfiru. Let's look at the word bihamd. So hamd is, it's not a verb, it's a noun. And let's take a look at the word hamd. So the root letters are ha, mim, and dal. Okay, ha, mim, and dal. And this is used 63 times in the Quran. So it's used once as verb 1, but 43 times as a noun hamd, and 17 times as nominals and active participles. Okay. The basic form, if I recall, is hamida. Sorry, hamida is, I think, the mazi form, and yahmadu. Yahmadu is the mazari form. Now, it's being used here as yuhmadu in this particular example, which means that this is in the passive form. So that would become yuhmadu. But let's take a look at how it's being used over here in ayat number, in the Surah 110. فَسَبِّحْ بِحَمْدِ رَبِّكَ وَاسْتَغْفِرْهُ إِنَّهُ كَانَ تَوَّابًا. So here it's simply being used as a noun, bihamdi, with the praise. So bi implies that it is with. And if you recall, B is also one of those letters which results in the noun to be, it's one of the haruf jar, which makes the noun into a jar form. So it becomes bihamdi. Okay, so fasabbih bihamdi rabbika wastaghfiru. And we've seen this, of course, as alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen, which is again being used as a noun over here. All praise, alhamd. Lahul mulku wa lahul hamdu wa huwa ala kulli shay'in qadir wa lahul hamd. So again, the praise. And here it is being used as a verb. وَيُحِبُّونَ أَن يُحْمِدُوا. So here it's being used as a verb, and because it has a kasra and on ya, it implies that it is in the passive form. Okay. So anyway, we'll cover that later on as well, inshallah. فَسَبِّحْ بِحَمْدِ رَبِّكَ وَاسْتَغْفِرْهُ. Rabbika, of course, is noun, your Rabb. وَاسْتَغْفِرْهُ. And wastaghfir, let's take a look at this word. So the root letters are ghain, fa, and ra. Ghain, fa, and ra. Ghafara. And used quite frequently in the Quran, 234 times, and 65 times as the normal verb, ghafara. Okay. So here it's being used in the form 10. Okay. And you might recall that form 10 is normally of the form, also involves the sin letter. Okay, so wastaghfiru, istighfar, wastaghfiru. But if we take a look at the normal verb form, ghafara, so the normal verb form is ghafara, ghafara, and yaghfiru. So this would be the mazi and this would be the mudari. Ghafara yaghfiru. And here it's being used in form 10. And form 10 normally implies that you're asking. It has notation of asking. And if you can perhaps think of other examples of form 10, you'll realize that there is some element of asking in it. So here, فَسَبِّحْ بِحَمْدِ رَبِّكَ وَاسْتَغْفِرْهُ. So here you're asking for forgiveness. And ghafara, the basic form means, he forgave. So ghafara would mean he forgave, and yaghfiru would mean he will forgive or he is forgiving. And in form 10, istighfar here means to ask for forgiveness. Okay. So going back over here was taghfirhu. And then the last ayat, innahu kana tawwaba. So innahu is indeed he. Okay, so inna of course is an emphasis on indeed. And innahu, indeed he is. And kana we've also seen before is kana yakunu is the verb, which means is or was. Innahu kana tawwaba. And tawwaba here is a noun. So it let's take a look at the meaning of the word. And we can see here that it is the basic form is ta, waw, and ba. Ta, waw, and ba. And here it's being used as an active participle. But let's take a look at the basic verb form. So the basic verb is taba. Taba, and I believe the mudare is, if I'm not mistaken, it's yatubu. Taba yatubu. And here, Taba yatubu, let's see, as a verb one form, it's being used in Surah Baqarah. فَتَلَقَّى آدَمُ مِنْ رَبِّهِ كَلِمَاتٍ فَتَابَ عَلَيْهِ إِنَّهُ هُوَ التَّوَّابُ الرَّحِيمُ. So fataba here is being used as a normal he returned. He turned. Okay, not returned, but sorry, turned. So فَتَلَقَّى آدَمُ مِنْ رَبِّهِ كَلِمَاتٍ فَتَابَ عَلَيْهِ. So Allah Ta'ala is speaking about Surah, about Hazrat Adam, that he returned. Okay, so he returned. And here in this case, فَسَبِّحْ بِحَمْدِ رَبِّكَ وَاسْتَغْفِرْهُ إِنَّهُ كَانَ تَوَّابًا. So innahu, certainly he is oft returning. And here it's sort of implied that he is returning to mercy. But the word mercy is not really specified, but it is sort of implied over here that you're asking for maghfirat and he is returning. So he will inshallah return and give you and be merciful. Similarly, again, it is being used here for the laka innahu kana tawwaba, right? So these two are the same. Actually, it's been used twice here. So that completes this surah. If there are any further questions that you had in mind, we could talk about those. But that essentially completes the surah. Let me just repeat the whole surah once again. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Iza jaa An-Nasrullahi wal Fath. When comes the help of Allah and the victory. وَرَأَيْتَ النَّاسَ يَدْخُلُونَ فِي دِينِ اللَّهِ أَفْوَاجًا. And you see the people entering into the religion of Allah in multitudes. وَسَبِّحْ بِحَمْدِ رَبِّكَ وَاسْتَغْفِرُهُ. Then glorify the praises of your Lord and ask his forgiveness. إِنَّهُ كَانَ تَوَّابًا. Indeed, he is oft returning. Sadaqallahu al-Azim.